Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining today's session. Today, we have something completely different for you, and we're excited to get started. This is going to be a 30-minute short live Q&A webinar. But of course, we're not just here to ask questions, but we're also here to start talking about TalentLMS features. So the plan is to get started with a quick overview of users, and then we will answer all of your questions. So stay with us and let's get started. My name is Theo. I am part of the customer education team, and I will be the one hosting the session live. But also behind the screens, we have Mary, and Mary is going to be here to help us with answering questions on the Q&A form. And also, she can always just provide extra resources on the chat and just talk to you a little bit before we get the question out live. So it's going to be a team effort. And before we even begin, let's have a quick overview of what we have in store. So first, we will talk about users. That's going to be a very short presentation, about 10 minutes. And it's going to be around what a user is, what roles a user can have, and of course, how you can add users to your TalentLMS account. And then, without any delay, we're going to jump right to your questions. Just remember, this webinar is recorded, so you will receive the recording by email once it's over. So it's a good idea to keep an eye on your inbox for a couple of minutes after the session is done. And feel free to share it. We love sharing the contents. So anybody who has questions, anybody who couldn't make it today, give them the recording. And to answer your questions live, we need to use the Q&A button. So let's look at this together. If you have a look now at the meeting controls down on your screen, you will see a Q&A button. Click on it, and that is how you can send us questions. And you can send us questions using your name or even anonymously. We don't care. We just want to see what your questions are so that we will be answering them live. And of course, let's jump right through it. So I'm going to share my screen, and let me just do it right away here. And I really hope that you can see now my screen. So let's get started with what a user is. Pretty much a user is anybody that has an account. Anybody that has an account in TalentLMS with a username and a password and is able to log in into the account. And the most important thing about a user is that anybody that has access to your portal can be a user. A user can be an admin, a user can be an instructor, and a user can be a learner. And of course, everything that you can do in TalentLMS, when you have access to it, when you are inside the portal, when you are a user, is defined by the user types and the permissions that you will have. I'm going to show you a couple of examples, and then we will get a little bit further into how you can work with users. First, we have the 3 different user roles, and I'm going to start here as an admin. I hope and I assume that most of you here are administrators to your own accounts. So that should be a quite familiar view, isn't it? So we have the admin view, and the admin is the person who is able to work with the settings. They can configure the settings, they can customize the portal, they can brand the portal, they can really work on the configuration of the account. They can always utilize the features in order to add courses to add users into training environments, and generally to make things structured. And of course, the admins are the ones that will be able to track the progress of the training. So the admins have access to the reports, and they will be able to see all of the reports that somebody would have in TalentLMS. So the admin is a very powerful user. Let's turn now to the instructor. And the way to do it is by the drop down on top next to your name. And the instructor is somebody who is responsible for the training, for the courses. So the instructor is able to create courses. They can do so very quickly. They're able to collaborate with others, so they can participate in somebody else's course, and they are the ones who will be able to add content, edit the content, share files with the users, and generally work with the content that a course would have. Of course, the instructors are able to add courses to groups. They're able to set up conferences, and that way they can communicate live with lots of users that attend the courses. And they are able to moderate and host discussions. So that way they can create forums that users will be able to interact with each other. And of course, the instructor moderate that. And again, the instructor is somebody who has a lot of power, but the power is related to the actual training and not to the organization of the portal like the admin. And finally, we have the learners. The learners are going to be the majority of the people on your account. So simple as that's why you have TalentLMS to train people, and those will be your learners. The learner is logging into their dashboard and they can see right away the courses that they have been assigned to. So if you have a look here as a learner, I see the courses that I have been assigned to, but then again, I can always go on the course catalog and I can pick and choose what courses I want to take by myself. So you can self-enroll to courses, and the catalog is where they can find the courses to enroll. They can check their own progress using reports, and that is something that is very important for them so they can track their own progress and not only just wait for the instructor to alarm them. And of course, they can always engage with discussions, they can join groups alone, and blended learning is a really good thing to do. So they can have a look at the calendar so that way they can see any events that might be of interest. So they can have a look and join and have training live. So that is just a very quick overview of what the users can do. And one little note before we go back and talk a little bit about settings is that the users that are learners can do all of that. They can have a look at the courses, they can start taking the training, they can even join live events, not only from their computer, but they can do it from mobile. So we have a TalentLMS mobile application that you can download from the store of your device. And there, as a learner, it's primarily designed for learners. As a learner, you can take the training that you have been enrolled in, and you can participate in live events as well. So that's it for the learner, for instructor, and for admin for now. Let's go back as an admin and let's see how we can work with the settings so people can access the portal exactly as we want them to do. Right under account and settings, let's go here. If we have a look at the users, this is where we can actually choose the sign up method. So we have two options. We can either manually add the users ourselves. So the admins are the ones who will be adding the users, and therefore the admins are responsible for creating all the users, for giving them credentials, and essentially for making sure that the right people have access to the account. And also you have the ability, apart from adding the users directly, to upload them and also use single sign-on. So single sign-on is another way that you can actually add users into the account. If you have a look at that, and if your organization is using an IDP provider, you can choose from the SSO integration here which one works for you. For example, let's say SAML there. And once you do, you have the option to configure all of the related settings. I know that is not something that you would do right away. You would need to consult with your IT team for that, because the IT team, your system admins, are the ones that will be able to facilitate the integration. And if they ask you for a little bit of help or resources, you can hover on the tooltip here and you can click on Learn More, and that will get you to the related Help Center article. So that way you can provide them with all the information they want. But again, it's not something that you need to do. The option is there, so you can go back to none. The other way that you can allow users to access the account is by doing a direct sign up. So manually you upload them and you use SSO, or direct, you allow the users to create their own profiles by themselves. And that is a good idea if you want to make sure that they will be responsible for their own profile creation, and that can be verified in different ways. You can verify using CAPTCHA. We've all done that. We've all seen that. There is a button, there is a box that says, I'm not a robot. You click it and then you go on. Or my favorite option is by email, because that way they receive a link in the email that they have declared. So that way they verify their account from there, and you know that they have a correct email that they can receive communication at. The admin activation is another good one. And to be honest, it's the best of both worlds if you want. The admin activation will allow the users to create their own profile, but also you as an admin, you will have the ability to go ahead and verify them yourself before they actually get access. So you as an admin, you will receive an email telling you that Theo, for example, has signed up to your account. Do you want to activate that person? And you will be able to do it. So still, they create their own profile, but you have the final say in whether they're going to be in the portal or outside. So that is just a very brief overview of how you can actually configure the settings of the users, but let's see how you can add them to the portal. Now, I'm going to go back, and you can always go back if you click home or just the logo. And the way to add users to the portal is twofold. First of all, you can do it one by one. So if we go to add a user right here, click on that, and we can start filling in the details: first name, last name, email, username. Email and username have to be unique for every user. Otherwise, we cannot allow duplicates. And then when you go all the way through the end of the section, add the user, and the user will be there. But again, you can do that for a couple of users, but no more than 10, 20 users. Otherwise, you would need a person to help you do that. What if you could do a mass import? And yes, it's very easy to do. Let's go to the import and export here. And all we need to do is download the Excel file. I know many people didn't expect that it's just a downloadable file, but yes, just download the file, fill in the blanks, and that's it. So I downloaded that. You can see it at the bottom of my screen. I'm going to open that. And it doesn't matter which software you use, it would still work as long as you can open Excel files. And if I bring this a little bit forwards, closer to us, you see that we have different tabs on the top. But again, you can always right click and delete the one you don't want. So focusing on the users, the login, that is a username, the first name, the last name, and the email of the person. You can always add the bio. The bio is a little field in the user profile that can give you just some extra information about them. But again, you can always just work on that at a later time. So focusing on those four mandatory fields: username, first name, last name, and email. Username and email have to be unique for every user. You fill in all of the columns of the users you want, you save the file, and then drag and drop, import, that's it, done. So that is how you can import a lot of users at the same time. But before we get to your questions, a very, very final note about how you can integrate TalentLMS with your existing software. So let's go a little bit back in the account and settings, still as an admin. Only the admin can work with those. And if we go further down, we see here the security. If you click Enable API, you will see the API key. Of course, your account will have a different one. The API is the way that you can integrate your own HR system with TalentLMS, so that way you will be able to have a flow of users while the two systems will sync. And essentially, the API, think about it as a connector between your own system, your own CRM, your own HR, and TalentLMS. And I know that this is not something that somebody who doesn't have a technical background would do. We have this for our developer team, for our IT team. So talk to your team, find your IT person, your system admins, again, your developers, give them the API key. You can click here to download the documentation and pass that along. And trust me, for them, it's just a very quick thing to fix, and they will be able to just connect your system with TalentLMS. Users can be added there. Users can be updated. And of course, you can always just work with the data that you would like to have on the user profiles in TalentLMS. Now, if your HR system, though, is Bamboo HR, which is something that many people use, this is a native integration. So you can have a native integration in TalentLMS with Bamboo HR. Tick to enable the Bamboo HR integration. Your Bamboo HR will have a subdomain. I know it sounds a little bit different from what we've seen before, but many HR people will actually recognize that right away. But again, talk to your team. You can set your subdomain here, and once you do, there will be a button that you need to save, so that way it will sync. This will sync daily, but of course, you have the ability to sync manually and just click every time you want to flow the users from Bamboo HR to TalentLMS. I know lots of questions will come for this. We are here to help, but there's also very many resources about Bamboo HR, about API. So on the chat, you can always just see the articles that Mary has shared, and these are the ways that you can get more information about the API and Bamboo HR. So there is a lot of information for a very quick 10-minute presentation. So let's jump onto the questions. I can see 2 of them already here. So let's see, and I can see more coming. Perfect, perfect. So Chris is asking, hi, Chris. I'm looking to create a certification program where we can enroll a user into a set of courses rather than doing it individually, and then the user gets a certificate after all the courses are completed. Perfect. I love this question, Chris, simply because it's not just about the users. We need to establish a system for that. So let's do it. What we're looking for first is to establish which system of courses that will be. So just to clarify, you want to have a system of courses that people will be assigned to that. And then once they complete all the courses, they will get a certification. So we're talking about groups here. And we're talking also about learning paths and certificates. So the first thing that we have to do is make sure that we have our strategy of courses. So let's say that we have 3 courses here for that. So if we go first as an instructor, we need to create the prerequisites. So I have 1 course, 2nd course, 3rd course. So what we need to do is go first of all to the last course. The last course will be Essential Soft Skills for All. That is your course number 3, which will give them the certificate. So edit, and then make sure that you go to edit the course settings, and on the certification, just go and select the certification. I have a custom one, so I'm going to update it. Now, to take that course, you want to have completed 1 course before. So what we need to do is go to the rules and path here. And at the same course, the course number 3, the course with certificate, we want to establish which one people have to have completed before they get here. So I'm going to say that that's going to be, for example, the working at home one. I'm going to save it. And then you can do the same as well for the other course. So if you have now the course number 2, you don't put the certification in course number 2, but you can always go in the learning path and set the prerequisites so that they have completed the first course that you want them to take. Now we have the 3 courses. Course number 1, course number 2, course number 3. The 3 has a certificate, and the 3 has also the learning path, and the 2 has the learning path for the 1. That is the way to do it. And if you want to create that as, let's say, a certification curriculum, just go to the groups, add a group, give it a name. Groups can be anything, have to be about topics or anything. So that's going to be certificate program, let's say, add it. And the only thing that you have to do now is go to the courses, add the 3 courses that you would like to have in your certification program, as we said. And then if you want to take it a step further and manually assign all of the course to the users, you go to the users and then you add a couple of users that you would like to have in there. I can add myself too. Mass assign, enroll them into the group courses, enroll, and that way you will be able to have a lot of courses to a lot of users, and at the same time, those courses will have a certificate only at the end of the 3rd one. I hope that helps. There's another one from Chris again. Can you use the course library courses for this as well? Chris, I think that I will need a little clarification here. Are you talking about Talent Library? If so, yes, you can go to the course store. Yes, perfect. Thank you, Chris. So you can go to the course store, and if you have Talent Library, absolutely. You can always go to select which collection you want. For example, I'm going to go for the leadership one. Let's go for the business innovation. And then, well, let's go to something that I don't have already. Hang on. Let's go to the business skills, and let's get maybe that course and that course and that course. Yes, when you get a course, let's get this one, for example, you need to edit the course because Talent Library courses do not have a certificate. So the answer is yes, you can do it with those courses as well, but make sure that you have a certification used here. And then of course you can actually go further on and do the same system. And remember, if you want the users to take the course from the catalog, the Talent Library courses by default are hidden. So you have time to edit them. So make sure, undo, and then just update. There's another question from Ahmed. Our team is growing. Can we book an appointment to upgrade our plan? So Ahmed, that's brilliant. Good to hear that. So if you can kindly send us an email, that will be trainingteam@talentlms.com. We can definitely talk about that and get somebody from the sales team to help. But yes, thank you for that. We are really glad to see you growing. There's an anonymous question here. Is there a limit of user profile information I may request? That's a good question. I would say no, but again, let's all define limits, right? I assume though that you are asking about possibly limit of custom information, perhaps. Give me a little bit more detail, but if that helps, I'm going to show you really quick the custom fields. So if we go to the accountant settings here, let's go all the way down. And here you can use custom user fields. So if I click on that, you have the ability to add a field. I have a location, but maybe you want to know, for example, that person's team leader's name or that person manager's name. So if I just say here, for example, manager name, that's another piece of information that you can ask. And then again, just have it on reports. Why not? It can be text so people can write. Add the field, save. So now we have two more details that we can have as more information. So if I go now to add the user, you can see that I will be able to have extra information. So yes, you can. I would need a little bit more detail about what do you mean by limits, but technically there's not a lot of things that would actually restrain you there. Let's see. Perfect. Thank you, Ahmed. Let's see. There's a lot of questions, so thank you for bringing them on. Okay, somebody else is asking as well. And I think it's a question about users. So let me just get to that. Right, I think it's Mary. Mary's asking, how can I make sure that any new users that I have added are added as learners and not accidentally as anything else like admins? Yes, that is a very good point, Mary. So users that you add have a default type. So let's see that. If we go to the accountant settings here and we have a look at the users, again, back in the settings, you see that we have the default user type. So the learner is the default because essentially we want most of us people to be learners when we add them into the account, but that is the default user type. So if you want to ensure that everybody will be learner here, yes, you can set that as a learner. If you want to do a bulk import though, and you want to add, your fellow colleagues, 30 people at the same time, and you want them to be admins, the quickest way to do it, go to the users, set this to admin, save, do the import, that's going to be admins, and then come back, change it to learner, save, and then you will have very quickly added 30 admins at the same time just by changing this, doing the import, and then reverting it back to its original position, so everybody else will be learners. There is somebody else. Yes, somebody anonymous again says, students have expiration dates of other credentials I want to track on an annual basis. I think that's you're referring to the ability of users to be deactivated at some point, right? I hope so. So let me give you this answer and see if that is what you were looking for. Yes, you can actually have a user be deactivated at some point. And there are a couple of ways that we can do it. Way number one, individually. So when you add a user, you can always just put their names. I'm going to do it. So let's say that's going to be, for example, John. That's going to be Atkins, and then that's going to be gatkins@email.com. Of course, this is a fake person. Don't try to email them. Of course, you can put a password there, or you can leave it blank. And then, of course, you can continue with the fields. Deactivate ads. This is probably what we're looking at here. So if you click deactivate ad, you have the ability to select when the user will be deactivated. So maybe was it a question about seasonal stuff, for example, just for the holidays, for Christmas? Then yes, you can set this as the end of July, add the user, and that user will be deactivated at that point. There's an update. You don't want them deactivated. They will have annual mandated training requirements, and they have multiple other credentials that I would like to track and support. In this case, I think we're talking about SSO, because if they have other credentials that you would like to track and support, credentials, you mean their login, their username, and their password, right? So maybe it might be a good idea to think about using SSO in your company. And then once you do that, the users will have the same username, the same password for all of the software you have. And then in the user settings here, you will be able to use the SSO and connect TalentLMS also to your IDP provider. I know we're getting into a little bit more technical fields than possibly we will be able to discuss right now. But again, send us an email, trainingteam@talentlms.com. And of course, we are ready to help, and we can also engage our support team if it comes to a point that we're not that technical yet. There's another question as well. And that's again from an anonymous attendee. We would love to know your name. So in your current example, your first course is called Zero webinar series. I have to do the same thing, place number in front of the course name. In order to get my course in the order I wanted, the system automatically puts them in alphabetical order, and that's a problem. I can see that's a problem, but there's a solution already. First of all, let me show you one thing real quick here. If I go back as a learner, you see that I have Zero here, but that is the category, that is not the course name. So webinar series is a category, artificial intelligence is a category, business continuity is a category. You can definitely do that with categories. You can put numbers before the categories. So that will be done quickly here onto the categories. And when you work with one, when you edit one, you can always just edit and then you can add the number. But I know that you're looking to put the courses in the correct order and not the categories. So let's go to the courses and let's talk about course codes. If I just gonna go to, let's go here to the assess the needs, you will see that I am in the course settings and I have the course code. So yes, everything is alphabetically ordered based on the name, but if I go on the course code, I can change that. So if that's going to be assess the needs, and if that's going to be, let's say, assess needs 01, if I have another course which will be assess the needs advanced or advanced topics for customer needs, those normally would not be placed as expected. If you have consecutive course codes, AN01, 02, 03, 04, those will stick together and that will be visible in the order of the courses. So they would be based on the code and not based on the name. I'm going to show you very quickly as a learner. And if I go as a learner here, that is the grid view. But if I click here, that's going to be on the tiles, on the list, and that will be easier for you to see the course code. If I just zoom in a little bit more, you see here, machine learning, A02, A03. So that is the course code. And of course, that is the alphabetical order if you're going to use that. I hope that is the hack that you were looking for. So one very, very final question, and then we will wrap it up for today. A question about branches. Somebody's asking, I think that is from John, if I remember correctly. John is asking, can I have SSO in the main portal, but allow people to directly sign up in the branch? Yes, the question is yes to that. So the account and settings users of your main account, they can be whatever they want. That is completely different. That is just for your main account. For your branches, you can have different sign-up methods. So if I go to the branches, and again, branches are different training environments. So yes, they are having different settings. So if I go to the branches, you see all the way down, we are, on the user section. So yes, the sign up here would not be direct, would be manually, provided that you want to rely only on SSO. And then single sign on, you select which SSO provider. Again, I'm going to go with SAML, and your IT team will configure all the settings. And of course, just go ahead and update. And I'm going to give you one more tip. You can not only just have SSO, but have SSO and provide credentials to people outside of SSO and still allow them to log in. Because here with SAML especially, you see that you have the ability to have the login page and the IDP login page. IDP is the SSO page, or just rely on the SSO and nothing else. So not only you can have SSO on the branch and other options on the main account, but you can have SSO or the regular username password login in the branch and anything else on the main account. I hope that helps. I really hope that was a helpful session for you today. And we are looking forward to seeing you into our next presentation, into our next webinar, and answer more questions. And if you would like to send us an email, please do if you have more questions. That's going to be trainingteam@talentlms.com. And again, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining. We love to hear your views. We love to hear your opinion, your suggestion. So there will be a little survey into the chat to just let us know how everything was. And again, ask us any questions, send us suggestions. We are a team together. So we're going to do this together. And we're looking forward to hearing what you want to see next. Thank you so much and take care. Bye-bye.